We are live. All right, here we go. Pixel Chatter number 55. Good morning, everybody. Hey. How we going? Hope you're doing well. Ready for a big episode today. Lots of stuff to cover now. I'm just going to get the chat up on my phone. There we go. Which is my new technique for monitoring the chat and doing the live. Crazy stuff. All right, where will I put that? I'll put that just there somewhere. I'm running out of room here. I've changed my setup slightly. You may have noticed a different angle, but there you go. How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. Problem is, as I tap the table, I move the camera down. I know, but it shakes around a little bit. Anyway, that's the way it goes. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you're doing well. Good morning. Who we got? Let's have a look in the chat box and see who is here. We have got Handy Parts Philip. G'day. Some people are too quick. Handy Parts is always first. Yes, he's always here first, which is good. So good to see you here, Philip. Aussie, good morning. Dave, g'day. Brian, good morning. Bill, good morning. Tim, g'day. Obviously not morning there in Florida. Izzy, good morning. G'day, David. All right, good to see everybody rolling up. We've got a big show today, plenty to go through. The boss was struggling to pick a VIP winner. She said there was too many good images to pick from. So there you go. So well done. So we're going to do our best to be able to give you a winner when it comes to that. Now, if you haven't been to a Pixel Chatter viewer before, I don't think we've got any first-time viewers at this moment, but quite often we do in the replays, and I know a lot of people watch this after it's been recorded, which is cool, so thank you for that. One of the things there's a couple of things during Pixel Chatter, or segments that are important, and one of those is image critique, and I haven't been sent many images to critique recently. I do have a few, but I would love to see some more. So if you can send your images in for critique, the email address is down below in the description. Just send your images to ben@on3legs.com. Try and make them at least 3,000 pixels on the longest edge, and include the EXIF information or any shooting information you can. So, if you shot it on a tripod or if you used filters or whatever, just let me know how you shot it. And then I will, put that image live on the show. Just because it's a critique show, I'm not going to, I'm not about upsetting anybody or doing anything like that. For me, it's more about making sure that everyone can learn from each other's photography. And, I'm not an expert. I don't pretend to be an expert. I'm just a guy who loves his photography and loves to help others as well. So I give you my opinion as to what I think I would have changed or done. So ben@on3legs.com. Send through your images for critique live on the show. Now, the other segment that we have is the worldwide sticker board. You'll see it up here behind me. And if you don't know what that board is with all my photos pinned around it, there's actually stickers stuck on there or pins or things to signify where people are from. There may be some other things on there this week too. Let's have a look. He sort of blends in. See if you can spot him. But people send me things and I stick them up on the worldwide sticker board, and I put a little flag in for where you're from in the world. And we haven't had anything for a while. So if you have a look down below, once again in the description, you'll see a P.o.Box. Send in your stickers or pins or whatever, and I will send you back a little, a return gift, a sticker or something like that. So feel free to do that, and I will make sure you get something sent back to you, and we'll get you on the worldwide sticker board. But that segment has not had any love for quite some time. So it would be nice to see what's in my box return. With a weekly what's in my box. All right, let's have a look again in the chat box. A few more people coming in. Matt says, do I want the raw file? No, please don't send me the raw file. That would be huge. Just send me a JPEG, maximum 3,000, minimum 3,000 on the longest edge. G'day, Tim. Anthony, good morning from wet Melbourne. Well, Sydney's not too good either. We've had a lot of storms. And I was thinking I need to get myself one of those lightning triggers. Everyone's getting these amazing lightning shots. And You don't need them at night, because at night you can just open your shutter up for 10-15 seconds at a time and just do shot after shot. You can almost just set your camera up on with the D850. It's got this intervalometer built into it, but yeah, I think I need to get one, because when it's lighter, you really do need a good trigger. And I've been researching them online, but mixed reviews about some of them. So yeah, I need to have a look into that. G'day, Mats. Good to see you here. Your calendar is on its way. Thank you for ordering a calendar. A few of you have ordered a calendar. Tim McCusker as well. Your calendar is on its way. Who else ordered calendars? A few of you did. Oki in China. Is that where he is? He's on holidays. Enjoying. I've had many enjoyable cups of Pixel Chatter coffee out of this. Thank you, Scott. Scott Marsh, who sent this in many months ago. Cold in the outback today, but 38 degrees later, yeah. Bought an XT1 last night, says David Bryant, yeah. Tim says the cyclone seems somewhat reduced. Yeah, but Tim is up north and was, that's Tim Trim, and was threatened by a cyclone coming through, but it looks like that may have settled down a little bit. Definitely going to have to change this camera setup again, because I can see that it's not very stable, is it? It's bouncing around. All right. So let's jump straight into my list of things. I always write out a bit of a running list on a bit of paper so I don't forget anything. And I just mentioned my calendar and those that have ordered it. If you're wondering how to get a hold of it, I thought what I'll do is I'll show you the finished product. Now, what ended up happening, which was a bit of a shame, was that it ended up being a bit of a last minute rush. And so let me just share my screen so you can see what we ended up with. So here's the finished calendar. It ended up being a little bit of a rush because oh, what happened there? That's weird. I don't know why it did that to me. Let me just get this back here. What happened there? Just fit would be nice. Let's just do fit on that one and that one. Cool. They're all back to there. There we go. It ended up being a bit of a rush, and only through fault of my own. And I know some of you followed the journey quickly as I was making this. The VIPs chose the images, so the way that happened was you guys voted on the images inside the VIP group. If you don't know what the VIP group is, just have a look down below. And we ended up with 12 images, and they're all from before this year, and they're all pre-D850. And I decided to do that on purpose because I want to save those images for next year's calendar. But as you can see, it's now, by the way, this is A3. I know that wooden floor, you can see the boards look pretty big in between each board, but they are very big boards. That's on the floor in my office, and my son took these images for me. So they're A3 size, printed on really nice stock. The printer did a fantastic job of getting the colours right, the exposure right, and the image quality is amazing, and the print quality is amazing. So that was a great experience, and ended up being a last minute rush, mainly because of the issues that I had with the Mac. After all those issues with all the crashing, Apple recommended that I basically put it back to factory and start again. Well, as you would know with Lightroom, that means that my entire Lightroom catalog disappeared, and I had to go to my backup files to try and find all the images and reload them. So it took a long time to reload my images and find all the images. So I have thousands, like tens of thousands of images. And I finally got it done, and then I decided rather than using the image that I originally edited, I got the raw file and I re-edited all 12 images, remastered, re-edited, whatever you want to call them, because I've learnt how to edit better than what I did when I originally edited them, I guess. And so I re-edited everything. I think I got the colors better. I got I got rid of some of the artifacts that were in the old ones. A couple of them had chromatic aberration. So, for example, one of these shots was shot on my D700. 3 of these shots shot on my XT1. And the rest on my D800. So interesting to see the difference, because between each image file, and you can't tell in the final printed image. So there you go. which I thought, there you go, that's interesting, isn't it? So you can't tell anything, like really once the photos were printed, you can't tell any difference. And you're welcome to, once you get the calendar, tell me if you can spot the difference. I mean, I tell you which one was, every shot, by the way, has location, a bit of a description, exactly how I shot it, the camera settings, the camera. So you do know which ones are which, but it'd be interesting to see if you can tell. Now, I've put a link down in the description if you want to get the calendar. You head across to my website, looks something like this, which allows me also at the same time to tell you that I have launched my new website. Here it is. But you can just jump onto here, put your details in. The calendar is $30 Australian plus shipping. If you're in Australia, it's $9.95 anywhere in Australia. If you're international, it's $17.95 Australian dollars. So for those of you in the US, it's not much money. Or in the Europe area, we don't have a very good exchange rate at the moment. So there you go. But yeah, head across there, and if you want to order it, get your orders in. I will be getting those out pretty quickly next week, and you should get those before the beginning of the next year. I don't have too many left. I only ordered 50, and I'd say about a good percentage of them are sold. So if you want to grab one, get in a hurry. If I do get more than 50 orders, a significant number more, I will just order some more. But I don't know that that's going to happen. Yeah. So whilst I'm over here on my website, this is my brand new website. It is built in WordPress. There's some talk about websites. I noticed in our VIP group. Now my website still needs some final work for me to do because I want to get the images up to date. My kit's not up to date. This was just made live the other night to get the calendar up for sale because it's on my website. But you'll get a bit of an idea of my thinking as you go through and you have a look at my website. Now, I don't use one of those subscription services for my website, because I just think that over time it becomes prohibitive from a cost point of view, as this is a WordPress site and relatively a cost-effective way to build your website is in one of these platforms. So this is WordPress. Now you do need to learn a little bit about how to do it if you're going to do it. So, it just depends on how tech savvy you are. But the good thing with one of these websites is it's easy to update. It's easy to put blog posts on. And I know that those other subscription sites are as well. But, I look at something like Squarespace, for example, and they're on they sponsor everybody's channel. I could have them on my channel if I wanted to, but I said no. I decided no, not for me. At this stage, unless something changes where I need a Squarespace site, but I'm not going to promote something I don't use. But when you look at that, I think the base product is about 25 Australian a month, which is $300 a year. For a few $100s US, you can get a really competent developer to set your site up for you using something like Upwork or Fiverr, and then you end up with a really good site. And then something that you can update. And, the reality is, for you, it is simple to be able to just log in and upload a blog or a photo, change a page, and all of these themes make it pretty easy. So that's why I went with a WordPress. Nothing wrong with the other way. It's up to you guys to decide what you think is best for you. But I did get asked, and I thought I'd answer the question. So there you go. Now, I haven't got e-commerce on here. I haven't got my prints for sale on here. And that is a challenge. And that's one of the things that I think some of those subscription sites do take care of a lot better, like things like Squarespace. However, what I want to do is I used to have my site set up with a company here in Australia that did the e-commerce, the printing and the delivery. And I want to go back to them. They do the same thing. It's a subscription service, but they have the whole fulfillment side taken care of. So I'm going to get that set up in the new year and you'll be able to see that. Alrighty. Let's have a look. So Izzy has asked me, why didn't I back up the catalog file and import into Lightroom after the factory reset? I'm not sure. I didn't expect it to end up the way it did. I wasn't prepared for them to go, let's just do a whole fresh install. I did do a backup, so I had a full backup in Time Machine, but I couldn't find the file just to bring Lightroom catalog back in. So I decided because I had the way I do it is every photo I process, I actually export those to another folder, and they're saved on 2 disks. So all my processed images I had anyway. I just didn't have them in Lightroom, and then all my raw files is what was sitting on my other backup disk. So I just imported that. So I do have everything is backed up, but I just had to re-import them all into So instead of having the catalog, maybe I didn't know what I was doing. Izzy, I don't know. If you haven't noticed, I mean, I'm pretty technical. I am technically minded, but maybe not technically minded enough. I don't know. Yeah, good to see everyone seeing the Oki is on a world tour. Yes, he is. I can see lots of talking about Fuji. Yeah, let's have a look. Wow, there's lots of XT1. David got the XT1. Chance, you made it. G'day, Chance. Good camera. Yeah, I love the XT1. My XT1, though, I sold, and I was thinking about getting the XT3, but I haven't got there yet. I don't know if you can see over my shoulder here. This one here. That camera right there is the XE1, and still shoots a mean photo. So it's a great little camera to take out and about, and you can pick them up for a few $100. And I just love the retro feel, and I still have my older lenses which were made in Japan, which are hard to get now. All right. Okay. So that's the calendar. If you want to get the calendar, that's how you get it. on3legs.com/calendar, or head to the site and... if you're going to do the on 3 legs, you have to .calendar. You have to spell out the word 3, not the number 3. It's a bit confusing, but not every page redirects. The web is hosted on 3, the word, but the number 3 will redirect there if that's what you put in. All right, just so you know too, by the way, next week will be the last Pixel Chatter show for the year, and then I'm going to take 2 weeks off, so there'll be no Pixel Chatter on the 29th or the first Saturday of January. The first one will be on the 12th of January. But please still send in your images, still send me your stickers. Let's get stuff up. Next week's show is the Christmas edition, so we'll have a bit of fun for Chrissy, and we'll be able to wrap the year up on a bit of Christmas cheer. I might have an eggnog or something. Who knows? I don't know. It's not. Who knows? It might be too early to be drinking eggnog in the morning. Don't know. But next week will be the last one. And the other thing I've got happening for the last time this year is my Sydney sunset shoot is tomorrow night here in Sydney. If you are a Sydney-based photographer and you want to come and do a Sydney sunset shoot with me, we're going to be meeting at 6:30 down at Kirribilli. And the idea is to shoot sunset, so do a bit of learning. We're going to shoot sunset and then do some night photography. And if you go and have a look at my Facebook page, you'll see, I think, a couple of the recommendation or people from the last workshop left some notes there. They were amazed at how easily it was to get sharp images at night. I taught them, how I go about doing it, and it's simple techniques, but things that maybe you don't know or haven't thought of. So if you want to come along, we do have the threat of some storms, but that's cool. If we get some storms, I can't think of anything more exciting than lightning behind the Harbour Bridge. So if it's dangerous, of course, I would cancel, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it'll just be a couple of passing storms, if anything. So it's $99 to come along to that, and that's my last one for this year. I will be announcing more next year, and there will be a page up on my website with all my workshops for the year on it, and that'll go up over Christmas. Alrighty, let's jump into VIP Challenge winners. Let's have a look. Sweet. So everyone's talking about the squid. Yes, he's up there today. Yes, he gets around. He's moving around a fair bit. Enjoying my cup of coffee. Okay, VIP Challenge. So if you don't know what the VIP Challenge is or what the VIPs is, this channel is brought to you by Patreons. And g'day Ryan, how you going? Made it for a live one. So this channel is brought to you by Patrons. If you don't know how YouTube works, typically creators get contacted once you get, a few subscribers and few views, people start contacting you. Most of the people that contact you are not big companies. They're just, manufacturers of really crappy stuff that we all just say no to because we don't want to promote things. And it's weird things like selfie sticks and, gimbals for your iPhone and, just weird stuff, right? Just weird stuff. But there are a few other companies that contact you, and there are a few creators that use company sponsorship to fund their channel, because there is time and energy that goes in it. I do have somebody who helps me out on like for 5 hours a week that has to be paid, etc. So there are things that we do and to bring a channel to life, and most of the cost is bared by the creator, but it's great to have the support of other people. And so I thought, rather than taking on sponsorship from people or companies that I don't use or don't really excite me, or probably you, I thought I would create a community, and it's the best thing that I've done. I was really nervous about doing it because I thought it was a bit weird asking people to pay a monthly fee to be a part of the community. But it has enabled me to grow the channel. It's enabled me to purchase other gear. So, for example, things like the new vlogging camera, the new lens. I've just ordered some other amazing piece of gear. So the balance sheet on the channel is back in the negative again. But I'll surprise you with what that is next week when I do next week's episode. But I'm so grateful that everyone is enjoying the channel enough that they want to be a part of the VIP community. So to those of you that are VIPs, a really heartfelt thank you for this year for being a VIP. But those that aren't VIPs, but you'd like to become one, the link is down below, and you can work out how to become a VIP for as little as $2 US a month. You support the channel, and we have an amazing community in the VIP. So let's jump into the VIP page. I'll show you what that looks like, and we'll go through the challenge. So we have a very active page here. There's lots of things get posted in here. Members post photos. We have a critique section, talk about gear, and it's amazing. I don't know if you've ever been part of a photography group online, but a lot of the pages have spammy, rubbishy stuff in them, and trolls, which I have to deal with all the time on YouTube. But in Facebook groups, I find that a lot of photography groups become my gear is better than your gear groups, and I don't like that at all. Our group is very supportive, encouraging, and it's not my group, it's our group. You notice I say that it's a community, and I take all feedback. So, recently we started this new image critique album for people to put photos in because of a member feedback. So we want to make it as easy as possible for people to get value out of being a part of the group. And, I just love the community we're building. So let's jump into this week's VIP challenge. It was wildlife. It was a very popular challenge. I am still here, and I don't have any bruises. When I created the cover photo for this, I used the picture of the boss and the boss's friend, which is boss number 2. And I didn't get in too much trouble, which was good. All right, so let's have a look through the images. There's 26 of them, so I'll be pretty quick because otherwise we'll be here forever. But there's some really, really good images. Like I said earlier, the boss had trouble picking the winner and the runner-up, or the honourable mentioned. So let's jump straight into it. This is Dennis Steele, Pelican, shot at Orange Beach, Alabama, the Gulf of Mexico. Wow, look at this one. Therese Elsie, saltwater crocodile. What a shot. What a cracking shot. Tawny Frogmouth, also from Therese. Bill Dunshee, inspired by Therese, never smile at a crocodile. That was in Kakadu, Northern Territory. Crikey. Another one in Northern Territory by Bill. Looks like a dingo. For those of you that aren't in Australia, by the way, that is a dingo. That is not a pet dog. That is a wild animal. Dingo. You may have made famous by the fact that I think at some stage in the past somebody blamed their child going missing on a dingo eating it and then folding its clothes up. Anyway, I won't go there. I can't remember the story or where it ended up, but that was some years ago. Okay, Bill. This was in Dubbo. Rob Roy from his backyard. This is a wasp outside kitchen window with a 70 to 30, 300 tele. There you go. Don't need a macro lens. Rob Roy, another one there. Not sure what it is. No description. Some sort of bird. And another one from Rob Roy. Another bird. Okay, next one is Tim Trim, Brumby on Black Mountain Road. He said, rather than a traditional portrait, I wanted more of an environmental portrait. So sort of like a wild landscape. I like it. Nice. Paul Redmore. Can't remember the settings. Shot on an A6000, heavily cropped image and turned into high contrast black and white. Pretty tricky. Paul Redmill, cockatoo. Look at that. What a beautiful bird. They're fun birds too. Funny birds. Heavily cropped image on a Panasonic GH4. Another one from Paul, Nikon D5100. How many cameras do you have, Paul? This is a kangaroo. Or a wallaby? Kangaroo. Beautiful. Therese Elsie took this photo while visiting the pub at St Albans in New South Wales. A great spot. This is a resident of the pub. White peacock. It's not quite wildlife, but beautiful anyway. Not caged, but just roaming wild around the pub. If you haven't been to that pub, by the way, nice place to go and hang out in the afternoon. Wow. Tim Chim, white-lipped tree frog. Stood on a step ladder in the rain. Not the easiest shooting conditions. No, it wouldn't be, but great shot. Nice sharp eye. Paul Goody, water dragon, and swan watching. Okay, so there's a swan over the background here. I wouldn't have noticed that if you didn't tell me that. The water dragon is sensational. A Stephen Cast, a close-up of a Kia, which is obviously a New Zealand native bird, I'd say, because I haven't seen this one before. A yellowhead, once again by Stephen Cast. Beautiful shot. Waiting to be fed, another one by Stephen Cast. Licking his lips, big eyes. Look at that, a lion. Tim Trim, Stony Creek frog, 2 metres from his front door. That's very lucky, because you're up there, up north in a great location where they're about. Oh, okay, wow. Bobtail croc versus croc. Almost stepped on this little guy. So it's a bobtail lizard, blue-tongue lizard, I think. And that's Ren Thielen's croc shoes that have seen better days. That's his crocs. Wild crocs. Kangaroo visiting the bird bath, a quick drink. Ren Thielen in the backyard. I love Ren's backyard. How good's Ren's backyard? Magpie dropped in for a drink as well. Same bird bath, I'd say. Young crows in the nest. This is Matt's. Beautiful. Nice shot. Another one from Matt's. Robin's resting. Well, we do have a lot of shots this week, which is good. All right. Fantastic. Okay, so let's find the runner-up. So this is the honourable mention, which is the Tawny Frogmouth by Therese. Well done, Therese. And the boss did say I may be biased because she loves owls. We've got owls everywhere. She loves owls. So I'm going to say she's biased. And the winner of this week's challenge that she picked is this one here by Stephen Cast, which is the lion. So well done, guys, on winning those. I will put that up in the challenge and tag the photos with you. I know I was supposed to do that last week as well, and I didn't. I'm very slack. But that's the VIP challenge number 34. This week's VIP challenge for those following at home is Christmas. That's the theme for this week. So Christmas is the theme. As you can see, only one photo uploaded so far. But the VIPs, I'm sure, will get busy in the next few days and upload some more images into the Christmas album. So we have some photos for next week's Pixel Chatter to go through and announce winners and follow-ups. So good work, everybody. Well done. Some great photos there. It was good to see so many people participating in that challenge. They really got stuck into it, which was good. Alrighty, let me have a look through the chat box, see who's here. Aussie Paul says, worth every cent, young Ben. Thank you for calling me young. I'll drink to that. Sure, he's talking about being part of the VIP group. Rum time for Chance. Good on you. Lucky for you. Got a new toy. 7300, taking it out tomorrow. Cool. Sweet and sour Oki. Yep, all the Okis in China jokes were coming out. All right. Good job, boss. Yes, thank you, boss, for doing that. Boss does it every week for us, which is cool. Alrighty, so let's do the image critiques. Actually, before I do that, I put a post up, and it sort of got me some mixed messages on the YouTube community about trolls. I got trolled again this week, and as a YouTuber, it doesn't matter when you put yourself out there public. Every now and then you get somebody who's just nasty. And I had a guy who put some comments down about something I said about the Nikon D850 on a previous video. And he was quite confronting in the way that he did it. So I just went back to him with something a little bit confronting, and he went off. He started posting comments everywhere that were just nasty, calling me an idiot, saying that I'm a fraud, and I'm a what do you say, that I was narcissistic, and just all sorts of insults, and some people said you shouldn't ban the trolls. Some people say you should, but let me tell you that I'm open to criticism. I'm open to comments. I'm open to critique. All of those things, feedback, etc., etc. What I'm not open to is when people just start insulting me. I don't think there's any room for that. I think it shows a weakness in a person if that's what you've got to resort to. And it's interesting because Eric from Finding Middle Earth, he runs a YouTube channel you may be familiar with. And we've chatted a few times, me and Eric. Eric's come into the live chat now and then. He's like me, he's a little bit overweight, and he's had the same problem where people tell him he's fat. And I think, you know what, at the end of the day, that's fine if you've got an opinion, but sometimes there's a time and a place, and I think people are really brave behind their keyboards. So, sorry if I upset you because I said I banned a troll, but I'm not going to stand for people insulting me. I wouldn't stand for it if they insulted you. That's the way I am. I don't think people need to be like that. I don't understand things like road rage. I don't understand things like violence. I'm not a violent person. And so when people get aggressive and decide they want to be nasty, then I'll be aggressive back in the sense that I'll aggressively remove them. I won't fight with them. I'm not that type of person. I'm not a fighter. I'm a runner. Even though I don't look like I can run fast, there are some situations where I think I would. Anyway, so that's the troll subject. Yeah, I don't know how many of you noticed that post, but yeah, that was what was happening, unfortunately. Yeah, sometimes it's just a couple of people that ruin it for everybody else. So I have to remove them. Okay, we're going to have a look at some image critiques. Now, before I do this, once again, we're seeing a lot of images from the same people because they're very active at sending me in images. I want to remind you that if you want your images on this show, all you've got to do is send it in to me at ben@on3legs.com. Excuse me, I got a bit of a frog in my throat. Maybe Tim Trim wants to get a close-up of that one. I don't know where that's come from. Anyway, if you want to get your images on the show, and I would really like you to, because it helps the show happen. Without images, it doesn't happen. Go to ben@on3legs.com and send me 3 images, shortest 3,000 pixels on the longest edge, and give me some shooting information. Make sure the EXIF is in there if possible. Now, really stoked to share this guy's image with you today because he's been an avid fan of the On 3 Legs whole community channel thing for a long time. Both these guys have actually, but yeah, both these guys have, and they both had huge improvement. But one of them is Anthony Younghusband, and he's in the chat box today, and he got some awards at his camera club for these images, or for some of his images, and he puts down. He sent me a message, and I can't remember exactly what the message was, but it was to the effect that he was super grateful for this show because all the critiquing and all that watching other people's images being critiqued had helped him develop his style and technical ability to the point where he was now getting recognised at his camera club and having images in the camera club being awarded. So, to me, that is the greatest thanks of all. That is very rewarding to hear. And when I started this, my whole idea was because I did have Rob Roy ask me, could I take a look at one of his images? And I thought, what a great way for us as a community to be able to create a safe environment to be able to have people share their images with other people that maybe are not as confident sharing their images, able to tune in and watch an image being critiqued. And that was my thinking, and I didn't know whether it would work or not. Now, live video on YouTube, 1 hour long, is, that's a big ask to every week have a bunch of people tune in, and here we are, we do it. Right now, I think we've got 42 people watching live on my little channel. Doesn't sound like a lot of people, but that's a huge thing for me to know that there is a few dozen of you every week that want to tune in and want to learn a bit more about photography. So that's what it's all about. So thank you, Anthony, for letting me know of the results that you got, and congratulations, mate. I'm sure that I'm grateful that you've recognized this as being part of helping you, but I'm sure a lot of it was your own determination and practice and application. And so I'd like to take credit, but I think you've got to take all the credit because you've done the work. So thank you so much, though, for the message. It means a lot to me when I do hear from people that watch the show and are part of the community of the results that they're getting from their photography, from what it is we do here. And it's really a special thing. So let's jump across to Lightroom and let's have a look at this week's images. So this week's images, we've got one from Anthony. This is one on the left, and we've got one from Rob Roy on the right. Of course, in where Rob is right now is Washington, in Washington, Vancouver. What is it? No, you're in the US. I'm trying to remember exactly where, because I accidentally thought you were in Canada, but you're in US, and it's the name of a place that shares the same name. What is it? What is it? You sent me is it this place here? I can't remember. Vancouver. That's it. It is. Vancouver, Washington. Vancouver, Washington. Now, and looks like the autumn, or they call it fall, was amazing. So let's get stuck into having a look at these images. So this one here is from Anthony. Now, when Anthony sent me this image, he said, I'm not sure if you would class this as a landscape image because of the depth of field, or the lack of the depth of field. It has a very narrow depth of field. I would say yes, it is. It's a very creative landscape image, and I really like it. And I'm gonna critique it, but I wanted to talk more about the fact that Anthony had taken the opportunity to be creative and break the rules. And sometimes, we talk about rules in this show, or I talk about rules, things like the rule of thirds. They're rules because they help you, and they help you to create something that is more likely to fit in with what is generally appealing to the human eye when it comes to an image. But here, this tells a story. This old fence tells a story, and I think that it has a hero. And when you have a hero in the shot, so if you think about portrait photography, in portrait photography, the person is the hero in the shot, and the hero in the shot is the person, so you isolate the subject. And the way that you do that is you go to a wide aperture setting, and you might shoot at 1.4 or 1.8 or 2.8 or something, right? And get that shallow depth of field. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, what it does is it blurs the background. So you'll see the background in this shot is actually blurry. Now, typically, that would be something that you would go, oh, that's not good in a landscape image. However, I really think this here tells a story. And this roll of wire, funnily enough, it's just a roll of wire, but it's the hero in the shot, and I really like it. Now, if you look, there's a couple of things going on here that are quite cool. I'm going to jump into we'll look at the technical details. I'll read Anthony's notes, and then we'll have a look at the image. But I think it's a lovely image. So the note that I got from Anthony said, hi, Ben, I'm not sure if you would class this as a landscape image because of the depth of field. This was the runner-up image in the open section of the camera club I attended. And he said, I hope all the extra information there. So it was Canon 80D, ISO 100 f 2.2 1/800th of a second. Now he shot this with a Sigma 50-100 1.8 art lens. Now I have never shot with these lenses. I've seen lots of photos, and I'm impressed with the files I see out of these Sigma lenses. He said, I don't recall using any filters. And he said it was taken at Lake Tyrrell, at Salt Lake, about 450 kilometres northwest of Melbourne, and it's very popular with tourists trying to capture the reflection of the clouds on the water, giving the impression they are walking on top of the clouds. He said the white items in the background are massive piles of salt. I was wondering what they were. They look like buildings. 100 metres long. Wow. Okay. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? So, I think it's a marvellous image, and it works really nice. There was no clouds that day. I'm just going to finish my coffee before it goes cold. And I think in this shot, the hero of the shot is the barbed wire fence. Look at the weathering of these posts. So whenever I see something like this, I've got to capture it because of the weathering of the post. And this is a great example of what you can do when there is no action in the sky, clouds, colour, etc. Now, from a technical point of view, ISO 100 100mm f2.2 1/800th of a second, all of that, there's nothing wrong with that. That's exactly, they're the sort of shooting conditions. If you want the shallow depth of field, you've got to be f2.2 or something like that. I can see the show is buffering. Why are we buffering? Hopefully everything's still working okay. I don't know why we're buffering. I'm going to check. I'm just going to quickly check. Why are we buffering, team? Let's just check and see. Why are we buffering? No, it says everything's good. Are you buffering where you are? I'm buffering. Sometimes I don't know what's going on. I'm just going, okay, let's jump back into Lightroom. I don't know why it's buffering, but it is. Sometimes things like that happen. Hopefully it comes back to life on my, because it stopped my chat. So it looks like it's still working though. All right. So yeah, for me, you know, if you don't want the shallow depth of field, you wouldn't go to f2.2, but he's done this deliberately to get the shallow depth of field. And if that's what you want to do, then great. I think that this roll of Y here is the hero of the shot, along with the reflection around it. Now, if we look at the rule of thirds, let's jump straight into there. You can see that the only change you could have made to really make this image a bit stronger is maybe crop it a little bit more to the left to put that rule, that wire on this intersection, and you'll probably just see it'll be a little bit more impactful to the eye. It's made a very small difference to the size of the image, but that just changes the impact to the eye. The other thing that you could do, let's just get the crop back up again, is put the, you know, maybe a square crop or something like that. You know, something different. Probably not as good. No, I don't like that. I like the other way. So yeah. So just sometimes that rule, you know, whilst it's there, it's, you know, if you just that little bit more of a crop in, because a little bit too much space to the left, and you're going to find, but even if I was to bring that right in here like that, you'll find it'll have a really nice effect to you. So there's just, sometimes it's just a small change. I'd probably leave a little bit of space there, but I would definitely have brought that in just a touch. Now I'm just going to check on my, for some reason, I am buffering. Why am I buffering? It might be to do with this internet here, because I've got my phone is monitoring the chat and the live stream, but it is connected to my home Wi-Fi, which is very unstable. So I'm just going to change it over to, there we go. Please work. Sorry about this small technical glitch, but I need to be able to monitor if it's working. Otherwise, there's nothing going on, and then we're in trouble, aren't we? What's going on here? Ah, dear, technical issues. Every now and then, technical issues can... There we go, that looks better. All good. Yep, I can see you're all saying it's good, no buffering. So it was my internet. So my phone was connected to my home internet, and I have a specific device I use for the live streaming, if you're wondering why I'm getting these issues. Okay. So yeah, so this image I think is great, and you can see why it got runner-up in the competition, Anthony, because it's a lovely image, really appealing. And this is a good example of what to do when you don't have action in the sky, because, you know, I would have rolled up to a location like this, and I would have been hoping to get some big grand, you know, landscape shot with the colour in the sky, etc. And then when you got just blue sky, it can be quite boring. So you've got to think on your feet. And whenever there's water, look for reflections, because reflections, you know, are amazing. And if you ever want your reflections to really pump, this clarity thing and dehaze inside of Lightroom is amazing. So on this image, because it's all water on the bottom, you could just use like a graduated filter to apply dehaze and clarity if you wanted to, and I'll show you what happens. So you can see, you can apply a bit of clarity. It looks like Anthony might have already done a bit of work here, so I won't get too crazy. But sometimes just a little bit of those can really make your reflections pop. They're already pretty good, but you know, the other thing you can do if you want is you can really go about changing, you know, just adjusting things like the temperature of your water. So if you really want a nice blue water, A graduated filter helps you do that as well. So these are ways as to make local adjustments. Only a small adjustment, but you can see just the difference there. So it sort of matches the sky a little bit better, and without actually copying the sky. So, yeah. I can see a bit of discussion going on in the chat box about where Vancouver, Washington is. It is somewhere on the east coast of the US. So to me, I'm not going to do any other editing to this shot. I just think it's a great shot. Well done, Anthony. And I'm really, really pleased that you got recognised for your work. And, you should be proud of this shot. Print it up, stick it on the wall, because it's a great shot. And it's a bit of an artistic flair to your landscape photography. So well done. And, hopefully everyone enjoyed that, going through Anthony's image and learning that sometimes it is about thinking outside of the box and doing something different, because there's an opportunity in every image. And it is about what you enjoy. And it was interesting that Anthony did say to me in that thing, I don't know if you'd class this as a landscape. I would, and so it made me think and go, well, hang on, what am I portraying each week? I don't want to portray what is right or what is wrong. I just want to say that if you enjoy it, then shoot it, To me, it's a great image. You probably already noticed something. In fact, I'll show you something that I would definitely change pretty much. The things like this little thing here, I would clone out. And you probably already know that about me. Like I just don't like little distracting spots, so I'd get rid of that one. There's one over here too. But besides that, I think it's a great image, and I think that anybody who takes a photo they like, then it's a good photo. It's pretty simple, isn't it? Pretty simple. All right, quick chat of the chat box, and then we'll jump into the next one. Wow, some big notes there. G'day, Ant. G'day, Nita. Some nice to life. Yes, they do. Tim McCuster, keyboard warriors can be real brave behind a keyboard, but we'd never say that to your face. Yeah, that's right. Right move to block. Yeah, sometimes I worry that blocking them is just going to make them angrier, and that maybe they'll jump on other mediums and become, I don't know, a real problem. I don't know. Ryan says, I totally agree. You should ignore and block them. Having been overweight myself in the past, ignoring people in person is the best thing to do. Other people's negativity shouldn't affect your life. Yeah, and it doesn't. But I think it's like if you came over to my house, if I invited you to my house for a barbecue, and you started just insulting me, I don't think that would be a very polite thing to do. And I don't know if, whether people see social media the same way, but I'm creating content that I enjoy creating, and I want you to enjoy it as well. And so if you think it sucks, I'm happy for you to tell me that. But rather than calling me an idiot and a narcissist or whatever, and by the way, this particular guy, I went, and what you can do is you can Google their name. So if you ever see something on a YouTube video, a comment, and you want to see what else they've commented, just Google their name. And because Google owns YouTube, in the results, all the videos they've commented on come up. And this particular guy, every single comment that he'd left on other channels was the same. It was just insulting to whoever made the video, basically saying, you don't know what you're doing, what gives you the right, you're a narcissist, you think you know everything, you shouldn't have a channel, you're telling us all what to do, what gives you, like, and he's not the first person to do that. There are some people that think that because you have a YouTube channel or a Facebook page or you're on social media, that you're pretending to be, and in fact, he called me a fraud and a narcissist. And I think some people think you're pretending to be some sort of an expert. I'm not a celebrity. I'm just not. I'm not a public figure. I'm Ben. I'm a photographer, passionate about photography, passionate about creating stuff. I love creating stuff. And, YouTube in particular gives me the opportunity to create a lot of content, and I enjoy it. End of story. And that's it. There's no more to it. It's not about anything else. Now, do you end up with some sort of following? Yes. I wouldn't say we're celebrities, though. Even someone like Thomas Heaton, who has hundreds of thousands of followers, he's not really a celebrity. He's a YouTuber. Casey Neistat, he's a YouTuber. Like, we're just passionate creators. We love to create. And as creators, we get rewarded by having, people follow us and comment and like what we do. But sometimes we get some weird stuff going on. British Columbia, no. Tim Ben's right. Yeah, Brian, I think, is on the money, Tim. It is Vancouver, Washington State, which is in the US. Because I actually sent Rob something. He is a VIP, so he got a little VIP pack. And I sent it to Vancouver, Canada by accident because he didn't put USA on it. I had no idea there was a Vancouver in the USA. That was my bad. I did tell you I failed school, right? I didn't do so well. Aussie Paul. Oh, sorry, David. I'm 400 pounds, 181. Aussie, I won't stop me. What's happening there? Oh, okay, because Aussie Paul said he's 140. Don't think I will do any more vlogs. Someone will troll me or insult my weight. Yeah, don't worry. Look, I've struggled with my weight all my life. Some of us are just less fortunate. I know people who are skinny who can't put weight on, and it's just who we are. I think it's a shame that people judge people based on their weight. Because it is a visual aspect. You can see it. It doesn't mean anything. It just means we struggle to manage it, right? We eat too much crap, and that's it. End of story. Our portion size is too big. I can tell you there are skinny people or fit people that have really bad relationships, but you can't see those. Or they don't have any money in their bank because they can't manage their finances. Their binging is different. They have their portions that are too big is in their purchasing or their credit card debt. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, just one thing that's visual, it's not good to it's like people who have like a deformity or something. It's not their fault, Certainly being overweight is your own fault, but it's just, it's because of a lack of management of something. But it's not a reason to offend somebody. No need at all. All right. Let's have a look. Just north of Portland. We're getting geography lessons, which is cool. Do you want me to Google it? I can Google it if you like. Cracking shot, says Phoenix. Yes, it is. Cracking shot. The rocks were a distraction. Yep. You like how I removed those? And you saw how quickly it was to remove those? And Tim Trim, embrace your inner frozen. What does that mean? My inner frozen. Let it go. Let it go. Is that what it's about? Maybe. Who knows? Wow. Okay. So let's just quickly Google Vancouver, Washington. Let's jump into the screen because now I'm interested as well. So let's go to Google Maps. There we go, and let's have a look at where Rob Roy is from. Vancouver, Washington, WA. There we go. That was it there. WA, USA. Da da da. And I'll zoom out. Let me do that. There it is. So here it is here. Is it? So I was wrong, was I? I was saying it was over here somewhere. It's actually over here. Okay, wow. So I was wrong. I thought it was on this coast over here. Because isn't that where Washington is? But it's the state of Washington. Washington must be a city as well. God, the USA is confusing. I need to go back to school. I think I need to go back to school. I'm struggling. Let's jump back into Lightroom. That Lightroom I can understand. Geography, I'm no good at. Now, by the way, if you're not already, follow me on social media. Time for a plug. Follow me on social media. Let's jump into Lightroom. So here we go. This is an image sent in by Rob Roy, and Rob is wherever he. So obviously now I know exactly where he is. He is now. I've now teletransported him across to the other side of the United States, just below Canada. So very close to Canada, which is even more confusing. Aussie Paul wants me to Google where he's from. Let's do it for a laugh. So I don't know if you. I mean, the USA is huge, but Australia fits into the USA, I think, doesn't it? I'm not sure. Anyway, I've seen funny things there. And where Paul is from, Aussie Paul, LPA, there we go, Alpara. Is it that one there, Sandover, Northern Territory? Is this it, Aussie Paul? Now let's switch to the satellite image because I want you to get a picture of what's out there. Is all this red dust. Oh, look, they've got a store, Alpara store. They've got a shopping centre. Watch as I zoom out what happens. This is where Aussie Paul lives. Look at that. Why aren't you doing any seascapes, Aussie Paul? Wow. So as I zoom out, are you getting a bit of a feel for where he is? So Aussie Paul is there where that little red marker is, right in the middle of Australia. Incredible. Incredibly far in the outback. All right, back to Rob Roy's image. Now, Rob has sent in this image. One of the things I love about autumn or fall, as they call it over in the United States, is the colours. And these colours are amazing. And what you get is you get the contrast. I mean, just have a look at that tree there up in amongst all of these. And that's a photographic opportunity on its own, just to find one tree like that with the background the way it is. And that's why I go to Cradle Mountain in May, because when you're in Tassie in May, you get the turning of the Fagus, which is actually, Fagus is short. Us Aussies, we like to shorten everything. Is short for the name of a deciduous beech tree called the Nothofagus fungi, something like that. It's like its technical name. So, you know, when you go there at the time of year that I'm going, and you're welcome to come along, another quick shameless plug, we've got a couple of spots left for the Tassie workshop in May next year. But when you get there and you've got this contrast between these beautiful oranges and yellows, reds and burnt colours against the trees that don't do that, which are the green ones, you get this really nice landscape. Now, there's a couple of things I'm going to talk about with this image, and I'm not sure exactly how it was shot. Let's have a look at the EXIF information, then we'll jump into a couple of things a couple of hints or tips or things I would have changed. First of all, shot ISO 100, 15mm f16, really good aperture for good depth of field, 1/125th of a second, not much you're going to do to change that. Shot on the Tokina 11-16 on the D500. That is a cracking lens, by the way. If you're looking for a reasonably priced wide-angle lens, the Tokina 11-16 is a great lens choice. I've seen so many good photos with that. I had one myself many years ago when I had a cropped sensor, and it was my go-to lens for landscape photography back then. That was when I had the D300 back in the old days. I sound like an oldie, don't I? But it was a cracking lens. And he said this was taken in town by the same river. This was, I don't know if we saw it, you remember seeing his last photo. At the sunset time period. I made a mistake on my speed of the last image and blah, blah, that's okay. This image was taken, we're giving all the detail, no tripod, so handheld. Okay, cool. So there's a couple of things going on that confuse me a little bit, and part of it is, see the darkness at the top here? So I'm not sure why the tips of the trees here are so dark compared to the fronts. I don't know if you've used a brush to brush in the shadows to lighten these up or exposure, but it's very noticeable up here. Okay, so sometimes this can happen when you use a graduated filter, for example, and you drag it over things. But to me, this wouldn't be a graduated filter. This looks like you've come along in Lightroom, you've used a brush, and maybe you've brushed, your exposure increase or something in here, and you've missed the tips of the tree. And it's a very, very hard thing to fix. Okay, so you would have to put this into Photoshop. You can then do luminosity masking. If you don't know how to do that, Jimmy McIntyre's a legend. He's got a heap of tutorials online about it. And you can download some actions, some Photoshop actions, which I did. I don't think they're very expensive. I can't remember what he charges for them. But you put them into Photoshop, you run the action, it does the masking for you. And what the luminosity masking does is it does these selections based on light and color. And so you can easily mask off all these leaves and this increase the exposure of them and not affect the background. It's very, very precise, so that's good. The other thing that I'm noticing here is this haloing around the trees. Now, once again, there's different reason for this. Could have been a CPL filter. Sometimes that makes the middle of your image dark. And I made that mistake recently when I was up in my old dunes. I'll just show you a couple of images. You'll see straight away when I show you this image. You see them noticeable when they're smaller. You can see, and let's see this one here, I've got it in the right spot. As soon as you put your circular polarizing filter too far around, you get this real dark, weird banding in the middle. So you've got to be really careful with circular polarizing filters because it will happen and it'll catch you out. You can see here, this is interesting. See the filter on the edges, but anyway. But you can see here's another one. You can see the the effect it can have on your images. So just be mindful of that. If that is what it is, it might not be, but that could be the reason that happens. So just be careful, and it's not as noticeable on your preview screen. So for some reason. But I can see some haloing, whether it's from that or whether it's from adjustments. The other thing, haloing can quite often happen if you really push the highlights down and then you push the shadows up. What I find is you get haloing around the contrasting areas. So rather than going to the extremities, just be a little bit more gentle with your highlight and shadow adjustment, if that's what it is. I'm not sure 100%, but that could be. The other thing is really watch out for these dust spots. Okay, I can see there's one there. I can see a bird up here that is blurry. May as well just be deleted. Maybe it's spots. There's more here. There's lots of spots in the sky. And when you get to these high apertures, you're going to notice it. So do something like 4:1. Hit down your numbers lock or your function if you're on a Mac. I think it's numbers lock, or I can't remember what key it is on a PC. But just scroll through your entire image square by square, and it'll allow you to see each imperfection. And just make it your final check before you wrap up and you export an image out to share with the world. Make it your final check to go through each part of the image and just remove anything that's a speck or a dot, because it could be something on your sensor, it could be something on your lens, it could be something in the sky that just was in the way when you took the photo. There's quite a lot on this image, and it's very simple to remove, so you can just sort of give things a bit of a hit like that. And things like this here, this is definitely just a dust bunny. It's one of the downsides of digital. On film we used to get a fresh exposure each time. In digital you get these spots, so don't be afraid to remove those spots out so they're not distracting. Anything like this here, it's not adding anything. That looks like it's a bird or a drone, or it could be anything. It could be a spot on your sensor. But just get rid of them, They just don't add anything. The other thing I would do, things like this tree here on its own on the left there, I would be tempted to just get rid of it. And no one will ever know. I'll show you the difference. Let's just do it so you can see the difference. And this is really, some people sometimes send me hate messages because I do this. This is really a personal preference if you want to manipulate your images that far. This is before and this is after. And can you see before, there's that distraction. After, it disappears. Now, if you do it in an image that has reflections, just make sure that there's nothing in the reflections that will give it away. Because I've done that before. This is how I've learned, is I've removed stuff up here, not removed it in the reflections, and people have gone, I can tell you photoshopped that. But you would never know if you didn't just see me do that. You would never know that I just photoshopped that. So just things like that are a distraction, I get rid of if they don't add any value. I reckon the real hero in this shot is the reflection, and I would have been tempted to do a really tight crop, maybe of something like this. And it's not a very sharp shot because I don't have a full resolution image to play around with here. But to me, that would have been a really nice, appealing shot. Let's just play around with these settings a bit. I'm just, let's just make it a bit more colourful. Maybe just trim the top down a bit more. Something like that. Let's bring this left side in just a touch. And now you've got this really close up, and don't be afraid, because, and I'm guilty of this, by the way, and I'm really doing my best to think differently when I'm out shooting. Don't be afraid to do a tighter shot as well as an open one. I'll give you an example of me kicking myself. I was, great shot, by the way, Rob, beautiful colours, and hopefully those tips helped. So I'm just going to jump back into that Mile Lakes, which is that trip I did recently. And I was actually kicking myself because when I decided to edit the video, let me just bring these thumbnails out down to smaller. When I was editing the video, I realised, let me find one that I've edited. Yeah, let's do this one. When I was editing the video and I decided to use this image, or I had this image shown, and I I decided to zoom in, have a zoom in start to the image and to show the moon, right? And then what I worked out when I did that, I thought, my God, there's another great composition. So if I just show you, let's have a look of the type of thing I'm thinking of. And I was kicking myself for not seeing this composition and shooting it. Because I've only got this file to play with. But something like that is a great, like, and if I'd actually put my zoom lens on and zoomed in, the detail that you would have seen in these would be even greater. But to me, that's a really compelling image, and I didn't take it. You know, the only way I can give it to you now is by cropping another image. Now, luckily, it's only a couple of hours away, and I can go back there. But sometimes we get so... It's no pano day, thanks, Anthony. Sometimes it's so easy to get caught up in trying to capture everything because it's amazing. Let's make this a pano. I want to make it a pano now for Anthony. Sometimes we can get so caught up in trying to get everything in that... There we go. What about that one? Trying to get everything in that... we we miss the bigger opportunity. Yeah, I don't think that one works like that. And so something like that, you can get something that's quite different and looks a big dust bunny. You get something different though, right? So sometimes I think it is about looking at what else is around, because you miss things if you don't look. And so I think maybe what I'm going to start forcing myself to do is putting the zoom lens on and just find some compositions. Maybe that's what I need to do, is just find some other compositions. Because this is the composition that I had in mind when I went there, was these trees. And I did my best to try and get the bottom of a lot of them in my shot, thinking that that's what I needed to do. But I think sometimes... I can miss an opportunity, and this happens a lot of the time when I go somewhere, I shoot it, and then I see another photographer's shot of the same location, and they take this amazing shot where they've used a zoom lens, and I just haven't thought of it. And so there's things that a zoom lens does that a wide angle doesn't. Compresses your shot, gives you a whole different perspective. So don't be afraid to try different things. That's my takeaway. So I learn so much by critiquing these images. I don't know if you've heard that. I don't know who the saying was, but there is a saying of if you want to learn something, teach it. And to me, doing these critiques gives me the opportunity to learn so much, because I have to look at each image objectively. And because they're not my images, it's actually easier. Because we love our own work. That's just nature. But when I'm looking at somebody else's photo, I could go, well, how would I have done it differently? What would I have done? All right, so we'll do the last check of the chat box. Good opportunity for you to share your social medias. I got a comment on my last video. I did the 10 other vloggers you should be following. I wanted some vloggers that didn't have many followers, or as many followers as the big guys. There's a few big guys that have got a few 100,000 followers, or nearly 100,000. But there's some smaller channels that needed some love, and I thought I would do that. And somebody jumped on and left a comment about how generous it was that I was sharing my subscribers. And I thought that was an interesting comment, because I don't see people as my subscribers. I just have a channel that I think needs to be doing the right thing and doing good by the landscape photography community. And so I would rather everybody succeed. And to me, this is not how I pay my mortgage. I don't need to worry about competition. I don't need to worry about if another channel is doing better than my channel. And I think most channels don't need to worry about it, yet they do. I see a lot of people who are quite, I call it an abundance mindset. When you're abundant, you don't care. When you've got a scarcity mindset, you worry. You're worried you're going to lose something by sharing something. But more than happy to share. So put your if you want to share your Instagram or YouTube channel or Facebook page, whatever links you want, website, put in the chat box. The reason I say is I've got to approve it. So as they come up, I'll just hit the approve button. If you do it now, I'll make sure it gets approved. Alrighty. Thin may be in, but fat is where it's at. I'm going to keep telling myself that, Christopher. Thank you. Yeah, great shot, Rob. Lovely shot. Looks more interesting to me after the crop. Has Ben mentioned pano yet? You guys are funny. I do love my panos. I mean, if I am honest with you, my inspiration for landscape photography came from Ken Duncan. And whenever I saw a Ken Duncan gallery, I would be in there, and I would be in there for a long time. I love his work. Love panos. Big Brown Land. Yeah, that's Ozzy Paul's place. So you got to see Ozzy Paul's place. Pretty amazing, wasn't it? Got a John Williamson song, 1,000 Feet in my head. So John Williamson, by the way, if you don't know who he is because you're outside of Australia, just Google him and listen to his song. He is the quintessential Aussie singer. Represents Australia. It's no pano day. Yes, Anthony, that's right. No pano day. Even tighter would make the trees look like they're playing volleyball. Yeah, that would have worked. Would have been interesting. There it is. Yeah, you got to see the pano. Didn't work though, did it? See things what they could be. Yeah. Thanks for a top show. You're welcome, Paul. Thanks for joining us. Cropping is great. Yes, it is. How good is cropping, right? It does allow us to try different things. And remember, cropping was not something that came in the digital age. Photographers used to print their photos and then they would trim them with a ruler and a knife to crop them down, you know. So it's not new to us. Philip says, hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas. Thanks, Philip. You too. We will have Pixel Chatter 56 next week. It's the final Pixel Chatter for 2018. It is the Christmas edition. Come along in your Christmas attire. Send me images in of you in your Christmas attire and we'll share them on the show. Check out Pete Jarva's work. You have not come across him. He's good. Okay, Pete Jarva's. What was interesting was people were sharing other YouTubers with me I've never heard of, so it was pretty cool. Alrighty. Alright, guys. Once again, I've gone over time. It seems to be happening a lot lately, but that's alright. It is a live show. It is what it is. Thanks again for joining me for this week's Pixel Chatter. I am super grateful that you join in. If you want to join the VIP community, the link is down below in the description. In fact, all the links are down below. Make sure if you've enjoyed the live stream that you hit the thumbs up button to let everyone know that you like it. I don't know how it helps, but I'm sure it does. So do it anyway. If you didn't enjoy it, give it a thumbs down. I don't mind. Whatever you feel like doing. But once again, thanks for participating. Until next week, get out there and take some photos. Cheerio.